Join us Saturday, May 20th for our 4th annual 5K walk, Run for Hope.
Proceeds from our race will benefit our Palmdale Dream Center, which provides housing for unhoused youth in the city of Palmdale.
Your contributions will help raise vital funds to support our unhoused young adults in their transition to stable housing and sustainable workforce.
Let's connect with our community for a morning of awareness, compassion, and fitness.
Bring the family and friends and sign up today.
Youth Build.
Hello, family. This is Mr. Lavelle, and welcome to another episode of One Mic. One Mic is our goal is basically to allow our leaders and our programs at ACT to give their voice and spread inspiration, information, and just in general hope. And so this month we are talking about something that's really special to us, and not only an area that's special to us, but also an issue that we believe is really needs a lot of attention and a lot of help in. And so we're going to talk about youth homelessness this month. We're talking about the causes, the effects, and also solutions that are available. And so I am very honored to have 4 people on this podcast. I'm excited because these are people that are really close to me, no matter how bad I treat them. Just joking. And so we're going to have our co-founder and executive director, Miss Olivia Cherry. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, lady?
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Awesome. And one of our newer members, Samaya. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Samaya.
She's over there like hiding behind the desk, but she's doing it. I'm proud of her. And we have one of our seniors who have only a few credits left, Miss Kimberly. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kimberly.
She's like, yeah, I'm Kimberly. You just said it already. And then my brother right here, one of our newer students and who is really handling business around here. We appreciate him, Mr. Gio.
Hello, everybody. This is Giovanni Ruiz.
All right, cool. So we are going to go into it today. And so, like I said before, we have a few, our students basically are doing the interview, but I would just be here setting it up for them. And so we're going to go ahead and have Samaya go ahead and ask your question to Miss Olivia.
Okay, what made you graduate and start the Dream Center?
Well, I think it was out of a need, really. So we started our program in 2007, right? We opened our doors in January 2007. And we were growing at a pretty strong rate. But one of the things that was happening is that some of our stronger students stopped coming. And this was more in like 2010, 2011, 2012. So they were just dropping out. And so we made it more attempts to do more outreach and engagement, right? And so as we were talking to our young people, we noticed that those that were dropping out and not making it to their fullest potential were dropping out because due to homelessness. And some of them didn't know they were homeless, right? So they were saying that they were aging out of foster care and they were no longer getting supportive services. So they were just trying to figure things out on their own. Not understanding their rights, not understanding what resources were available to them. And then other young people, their parents lost their housing. And so now they were going from cousin's house to friend's house to any couch or any places that were allowed them to stay for a short number of time. And then we just had our homeless youth who just didn't have a place to go, were living in their cars. And so we were just surprised at how many had the same stories of homelessness, but yet didn't have a lot of resources. So it was more out of a need.
Wow. That's awesome. Because and one of the things about it, I came a little later after you all started the program, but it was huge just, seeing them actually build it, right? Build it from the ground up. But that's one of the goals about, advancing communities together is, we basically see a need, meet it. Right,
absolutely.
And so that was fantastic.
Have you ever experienced homelessness? And if so, can you please describe how it happened?
Thankfully, I have not experienced homelessness. Just talking to our young people, you can empathize with their struggle, right? And just figure out, trying to find a solution. So no, I have never experienced homelessness. And I'm thankful for that.
Awesome. Do you have I was just thinking about from you all thinking about the Palmdale Dream Center to it actually happening, right? What are some of I don't know, do you have a story or anything that throughout that experience, like a story that or experience that happened that stands out to you? And,
well, I won't name the young person's name. Very bright young person. He was in our Wild on Fire technology program and close to graduating. But he stopped coming for 2 weeks straight. And usually our policy is within a few days, 3 days with no contact, 3 days you can be what we call self-selected out, right? Where you choose not to come to the program. But because the student was so strong, we were just so concerned, right? And so we reached out, did a home visit. The home visit found out that he wasn't there, right? So it turned out that the person that was living there let us know that he might be at this place, right? Which was a friend's house. So we went there and we found them there. And so pulled him back into the site the next day. And he was just saying I just don't have a place to live, right? And so in this time, so let me give you some context. So we had before had rehabbed some community housing, community neighborhood housing with the city of Palmdale. That started our connection and collaboration and our partnership with the city of Palmdale. So when we were starting hearing stories about our young people being homeless, we went to the city of Palmdale as our resource and said, what can we do about this, right? And so our CEO and my partner in crime, Rossi, worked with Mike Miller with the city of Palmdale at the time. I believe he was the director of development services there, and really found an abandoned, pretty much like a drug housed place that we were able to purchase and rehab and restore for our Palmdale, which is now our Palmdale Dream Center. So this particular young person helped us rehab this place, right? So this particular young person helped us rehab this place, but he didn't tell us he needed the space. And so one of the biggest thing also was for us is acknowledging that we need to do more outreach and engagement about youth homelessness and really define it, right? Because honestly, he didn't consider himself homeless because technically he went to his friend's house or technically he went to his auntie's house, right? For a few days and here and there, but it wasn't stable. So he was constantly looking for somewhere to go for a week or 2 weeks. And so that made us also aware that we need to be more engaging our young people, right? And really talking about this topic, right? Of do you have a stable home? And really defining what that looks like, right? And really defining what homelessness is. And so he was one of our first tenants in the Palmdale Dream Center because, again, he had a plan to succeed. Right? He was part of our Wild on Fire technology program. He was on the pathway to a successful career pathway, but he didn't have a place to stay. So, thankfully he graduated from our program, participated in our Wild on Fire technology program, which he was able to create income for himself and continue his education at AVC. But yeah, that's one of the stories that, was one of the reasons we started.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. So what, and family, those of you who are listening, this last few episodes, you probably already noticed that I have a tendency to go off script. And so I would go off script a little bit. how would you, if someone wants to ask you, Miss Olivia, what is the main purpose for Palmdale Dream Center? Because I know we have the transitional housing, but we also, ACT owns other properties, right, helping low-income families. What would you say is the biggest why, the biggest purpose for it?
Sure. The why is really to create stability, right? And to create stability and to create a transition plan. So even in our low-income family housing that we have at our duplex, we still engage our tenants, right, in any support or services that they may need. So it's still creating some stability in their home, right? So with our transitional age youth, it's a little bit different, right? Because they're more program setting. We want to help them more. Right. So there's more of an engagement piece and outreach there, right? And each individual in that that's staying there has what we call an individual action plan, right? Because the goal again is to transition them to more permanent housing. There you go. So we work with them and really support them in a wraparound case management approach.
Wow, that's fantastic, because that's one thing I was talking to, I think it was last week, to students, and we were talking about values and what's most important. So we went through a list of different things. I don't know if you guys remember that one, but a list of things that's important to them. And one of the things that consistently come up, there's love, there's respect that's important to them, but one of the biggest ones is stability. That's a huge need, and I appreciate what you're doing to meet that need.
So Miss Olivia, do you have any future plans for creating stability?
So prior to a couple of things I kind of didn't mention and I want to kind of touch on, again, about seeing a need, right, and meeting a need, and that's pretty much our whole purpose for Advancing Communities Together, right, is really bridging gaps of poverty and homelessness and really trying to reduce crime in our cities, right? So in that, the nonprofit itself is Advancing Communities Together, where Palmdale's Dream Center is one of our program arms that we do. We have worked with LAHSA, which is the Los Angeles Homeless Authority. I believe it stands for Service Authority. I forgot the S there. And so in the past, we have used our facility for winter shelter programs. So this is more about not necessarily youth, but we do have youth that come in for the winter shelter. As everybody knows, the Antelope Valley weather can be very hard, for lack of a better word, during the winter months, right? And so our facility has been used for winter shelter to house the unhoused here in the Antelope Valley. And some of those are TAY population. So in that way we can transition them to the Palmdale Dream Center. Now, some of the future plans is, again, we want to go ahead and really take ownership of that winter shelter program and really focus on that case management approach, where we can really support our unhoused population right here at that time while they're here, right? And so whether it's referring them to the Palmdale Dream Center or other resources in the Antelope Valley, we really want to create that same program aspect that we do with our TAY youth and bring that concept in our winter shelter program, because it has brought success. Also in that part, and we hope, again, this is with the partnership, of course, with our city of Palmdale, that we also provide interim housing, and that will include tiny homes, right? So that, again, these are all things that is on our wish list, and we're working with the city of Palmdale to hope to make that happen. The last thing would be to have another duplex built in the next 2 years for an additional low-income family in the Antelope Valley.
That's awesome. So it sounds really cool, because it's like, again, based on what you're saying, see a need, meet a need. And so as we're, like I said, establish the Dream Center and the other housing, now it's like that ripple effect we always talk, you guys always talk about. is spreading and helping more families.
Well, I think I want to really emphasize, this is not something new that, I know a lot of other agencies and organizations are doing it. I think our approach has always really been about really seeing the other person with dignity and respect, yes. Right? And really coming from that perspective and understanding that the individual in front of you has so much potential and gifts. Yes. All we need to do is provide those resources, right? And so that's been our approach. And I think that's in any program that we do, that's always been our approach, provides people with dignity and respect and know that they bring value. And so, I just want to end it with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I would just say that as your brother and staff member, definitely been something that's been consistently preached and taught and modeled from you. That's one of the reasons why, I actually prayed for opportunity to work here when I was visiting. And so I appreciate that because that's definitely has been the standard that you set. So I appreciate that. Anything else, words of wisdom that you want to share maybe with, or maybe how would, like a take action? Like, is there anything that you think people in the community or even people who are struggling or any action steps that you take?
Well, you're not in it alone. Always ask for help. If someone says no, ask the next person, right? Because there's always people there to help. And I think that's it.
Awesome. All right. And family, young leaders, do y'all have anything else to say before we close it out?
No, I think she covered everything.
She covered everything. All right. I wish you guys could see the looks on their faces when I pop these questions out to them. They're looking like, dude, what are you talking about? All right, family. But again, please share this with somebody because, this is definitely an issue that we all can do something about. And so again, family, we love you and you all be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.